So Melissa, you've been on the corporate side and on the agency side of recruiting.
Yeah.
So two questions. We'll start with the first one is, what do you see the biggest mistake recruiters make when they're recruiting?
Probably not getting to know their candidates as well as they should.
Why do you think that is?
So you're trying to hit a metric.
Ah.
You have fill ratios and things that you have to meet just for activity purposes. And I think, you're looking for the quantity over the quality. And, I think that's probably the biggest mistake of not knowing your candidates as well as you could.
So the metrics that you're applying to a recruiter, especially on the agency side of, you got to have so many fills and so on. There's some negatives to that.
Sure.
Because you're getting a certain behavior just to hit those metrics.
Yeah, because you could have maybe two great candidates in front of the client, and you're thinking in your head, oh, I have to get 3 more because I need 5.
Yep.
And that does create just a different mentality of not looking at the really great candidates that you have and consulting the client in that way to say, you've got 2 quality people, let's talk about them, and you should pick from the 2.
So all things being equal though, if you're giving a new recruiter some advice on how to really get to know their candidate, what advice would you give them? How do they really get to do that?
Being transparent, just being very honest, being honest about the position, about the challenges that person is going to face.
The good and the bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of people shy away from that because you always want to say, this is so great, this is the best opportunity for you. And it might be, but you also need to be realistic that if you're taking somebody from another job, you have to let them know. I think it's fair to say, these are what the challenges are going to be walking into this organization or this position. This is the expectation that's going to be put on you.
Gives you more credibility in opening up to the candidate right off the bat. Is there a perfect position?
No. No. Just like there.
Is there a perfect candidate?
No.
It
No.
doesn't exist.
No.
Doesn't exist. So second question though, kind of along the same lines of that, because you've been on the corporate side. When you're looking at hiring an agency to help you in whatever form on the recruiting side, what's one of the biggest mistakes companies make when looking for and choosing that agency?
I think they just go into it that, I have a position to fill. They're the experts. They know they're going to be able to help me no matter what. But I think what they don't realize is, you're often pulling from an ATS with the same candidates, whereas for us, each project is individual. There's no project that is the same. You could have the same exact position, but it's going to be a different company, and we're going to find you different candidates because we're taking all of those things into consideration, and we're not just looking at the job title or the basic skill set.
We're digging deeper.
Yeah.
What are the questions that they need to be prepared to answer to make sure that whether they're partnering with your team or partnering with another agency, so they don't make the mistake of kind of setting them off in the wrong direction? What are the questions they need to come prepared to be able to answer?
Yeah, I think you need to know where your candidate's coming from. Where are you finding these people? What are the tactics and strategies that your team does to look for this really niche position that I'm looking to fill that my internal team needs help on? I think it's a very simple question, but I feel like it probably doesn't get asked as often as it should because they assume I'm coming to a place they know how to recruit. That's their job, so they're going to help me. But I think asking those basic questions, and also, what am I going to see from you in terms of the quality of candidate? What do you guys present to me? What do you look for? And then
wait a minute, I just need to fill the role.
Right.
I don't give a crap about, I'm obviously joking, about the quality of the candidate, but it almost seems like that's, especially with what's going on right now, it's almost like I just need to button the chair.
Yes.
Is that good?
No, because in 90 days, that butt won't be there anymore. You're looking for the whole package, right? We talk about the head, heart, and briefcase. Like, you're looking for everything. And I think people do, based on what happened last year and where, things were and how things got delayed, and now we're seeing a change, right? And so I think there's so many openings, and the recruiting teams are just super bogged down, and they're looking at that like, my department lead is just telling me I got to fill this position because it is hurting that it's open.
Yeah. Well, what if I put the wrong person in the role though?
Right.
I filled it, but I solved the problem.
No, because I think it's just people are looking at the short term, right, rather than the long term. So yes, short term, it is painful that a position is open and we might have to crunch the team a bit, but long term, if we find the right fit for the team, it's going to pay back in, dividends, honestly. And I think, and I get that pressure, and I think it's tough on internal recruiting teams because hiring managers are like, where are my people?
Yeah.
Find me somebody. And it's hard to say, we've talked to some great people with a great skill set, but they won't fit here culturally, or with the leadership team, or they're with the team that's already here, and I'm looking for that, and it's tough to push back on that.
So what would you do in that situation if you've got a candidate, one of your team members is presenting a candidate, but they don't fit culturally?
Yeah.
What do you say to the client at that point? I mean,
Oof,
you got to fill the role, don't you?
Yeah, it's a tough conversation. It's and again, I think sometimes you want to shy away from those conversations, but at the end of the day, is it going to hurt? It'll hurt you as well as the client, because they're trusting you to say, I'm going to consult you no matter what. I'm going to tell you if everybody in the market says your company is horrible. I'm going to consult you and tell you if your pay, if you're so off on pay, I need to say this is where we need to be, or we need to level set and say we've got to go for a lesser skill set.
What allows you and your team to be able to do that when most agency recruiters don't do that?
I think because our hourly model, and I think, when we're working on projects, that's what makes us efficient, because the time we're actually spending that time working on the project, whereas when you're under a contract, you just have to fill the role.
Yeah.
There's no time limit to say you have this much time, so it makes us more efficient.
So it's not about being necessarily the cheapest.
Correct.
It's about being the most efficient and giving them the candidate that fits that heart briefcase that you were talking about. We have that, your team has that luxury because of the hourly model.
Yes.
But companies are still paying 20-30% of somebody's salary. What do you think about that?
I was going to say, you get what you pay for. It's like, if you want a company to really look at what your opening is, understand what the deliverables are from that candidate that you will need to move the needle in your organization, and understand like the actual culture fit and have a strategy of how we're going to go find those people. We do that all day, every day. If you want to go through an ATS and go through that system and have people, maybe it takes 3+ months to fill a role with, recycled candidates. That's kind of a decision that you have to make.
Recycled candidates. That doesn't even sound good.
I know, it doesn't, but it's true. It's the reality of it. But I think people are so used to how recruiting was, and what it used to be. And I think our model, it's hard to explain sometimes to people, but it works for a reason.
Yeah, different mindset, different method in which we go about doing everything. It's that just because you've always done something doesn't mean you should always do it, especially when you think you need to get a different result.
Yeah.
And with the model that you and your team are able to provide, not only is it truly different, the way that you go about doing what you do, the candidates that you develop, the quality of those candidates, it truly is different from everybody else that's out there.
Yeah, and I think it's made me a more efficient recruiter. I think it's made me be able to develop more in the sense of, I know my candidates. I know a lot about them, of like what are they looking for, because I'm actually looking to make sure that they're fitting with what the client's looking for, and not just skill set.
That's why we focus on people, performance, and the company profits.
Yeah.
Right people, help make sure that they're going to fit and they're going to drive the performance you need, and it drives the profits of that business. That's really the focus of you and your team.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Appreciate the time. How can people get a hold of you if they are watching this and they have questions specifically about what your team does?
Yes, if you are watching this, you can go to the Qualigens page. You can apply there if you're interested in a job with us, or interested just to know more about our company. And you can also find me on that page, Melissa McLean. I'm also on LinkedIn, so whichever way.
Melissa, thank you again for your time.
You're welcome.